Now's the part of the interview where I want to get really personal with you, and one of the topics I want to cover is intimacy. I would like to know, did you date, whether teens, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s to mid 30s?
Um, did date. Nothing so serious when I was a teenager. Dating back then involved like asking a girl out, going to the skating rink, going to the movies. Um, Going into older age from 19 to say 25. Yes, did date. Maybe I think two serious relationships. Um, how to say? I think maybe two. I'm not even sure, but was seen into women, of course. Single man, grew up getting from the country, dating into city girls, of course. Why you making that face? Just I enjoyed it. Not saying I enjoyed it, but it was very good. Yes, intimate. Yes. Thought about seriousness. Nothing as to marriage by the age of 25. Um, Getting earlier in age. Not to say earlier in age. Getting up in age, going towards my 30s, maybe again another serious relationship. Nothing much, was more focused on career goals than say anything else. Intimacy was always there, and girl here, girl there. Don't ask me for names because I know I can hardly tell you any names, but I can actually say um, about maybe serious probably with five, dated maybe 20
Were
or more.
Were you a player?
What is not a player
Did you have more than one
at
girl at a
at
time?
a time? No, I wouldn't say one girl at a time. Friend, yeah.
Okay.
It was defined friendship, defined where you know where stuff was going, where relationship was going, where it was not going. I think when you're dating anybody, that's your straight outlook when you first meet them. You know who you're going to be friends with and who you seeking to be with.
Um, well, since you said you dated almost 20 girls, I think. Um, so there's no reason to ask you who was your first girlfriend, because obviously you said don't ask for names. But can you just describe at what age did you start dating your first girlfriend, and what was she like?
First girlfriend. Wow.
Is that hard to remember?
That is very hard to remember. Not even gonna lie to you. That is very, very, very hard to remember. Wow. That one caught me off guard.
Would you like to move on?
Yeah, I think I mean, the age of that would probably be serious. It would be, I think, it would be like 20. Got to be like 20. Um, Not real serious, but serious enough where you call each other, write each other. This had to be at the age of 20. Um, Wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. Um, the first time you ever say love to anybody.
All right. Um, so I would like to like dabble in the children area if you don't mind.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Not good.
Oh, okay. How many children do you have? And when were they born?
One, that would be Jamie.
You don't
She,
have to state names if you don't want to.
Okay, that already
We
said.
can call her Vanilla Ice.
Oh my gosh. Born in December 11th, 2002. Um,
What is she like?
what is she like? She is the exact same as her mom, opposite of me.
And what may that be?
Smart. No, smart. I believe in smart, intelligent, beautiful. Um, uh, quick, athletic, active, smart, tall, skinny, smart.
What are
um,
your aspirations for her?
to be everything that she wants to be in life, more than me, to achieve what any parent would want for them and surpass that in their own mind and in their own aspiration.
And since you said your daughter was born in 2002, I find no reason to ask you, do you have any grandchildren? For as long as I've known you, I
Not,
don't believe you have grandchildren.
not that I know of.
So, what chores or responsibilities did you have as a child? To just continue in the childhood topic.
As that I have as a child,
Yeah.
um, being down south, we did everything, any manual chore, which is taking out the garbages, sweeping the floors, vacuuming. These are, I wouldn't say chores, but things that were expected of you. We didn't call it chores. It was just calling cleaning house. You know, come home, put up your books. Any dishes that need to be put up, you put up the dishes. Come home before you go, you know, go out to play. Make sure the garbages are empty. Before you go to sleep at night, you make sure the floors were swept and mopped and vacuumed. Um, Saturdays, getting up, changing your bed, changing your linen, putting everything, washing clothes for yourself, ironing. By the time you get to the age of 8 and 9, you know how to wash dishes. By the age of 14, you know how to handle an iron. You ironing your own clothes to go to school. Um, these were things that, were asked. These were things that were done. These were things that were expected of you. And it made, for me, it made me stronger. These are,
Um,
yeah.
so I just want to like go off topic a little bit. Do you think growing up in the South differs from the generations growing up now? Like you
As
had
in,
chores and now you see kids that, have lenient parents and they get away with a lot
yeah,
more.
definitely. Definitely. Like I said earlier in the topic that we was talking about, where me growing up in the projects, I loved it because to me it was a community. I mean, you had neighbors raising other neighbors. You don't have that in today's society.
Right.
Even if from the north or the south things change or differ, we went through a rough patch in any era, any decade, any time. But as long as you remain neighbors and friends and friendly, you can raise whoever child. Nowadays, I mean, back in my day, used to have, neighborhood grandmas that used to raise, you know, the little ones when their mom or their dad went away, such as prison or hospital, passed away. You don't have that nowadays. You have grandmas at the age of 40 rather than 60. And you have mothers at the age of 14 and 15 rather than 20, you know. More lenient because there's less time. There's more time consuming stuff now to do. Time consuming as in, most people today are working 2 jobs. You can't tell your kids to do most things when they don't know how to be a kid when you're trying to raise them up to be an adult already. So, you know, for me, I had the chance to be a child. I had a chance to be a teenager. I had a chance to be a young adult. I had the chance to be an adult. And these things were passed on to me. I think there's a big difference from, being a child of the 80s than being a child of this new millennium.
And since you say that, um, what did you daydream about um, becoming when you grew up?
For me,
Astronaut?
no.
Stripper?
No, that came later. No, I think for me growing up, I didn't. This is hard to say. Like I just try to put my best foot forward and try to be anything that I can be. I never had to say, some people looked at reading Rainbow and say, oh, I want to be LeVar Burton, or they looked at, you know, certain things on TV, such as the Huxtables and a black household, and say, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. Um, and those were great things to look up and try to say you want to be and do. I think for me, I just did not want to be in a place where I was, and I'm not to say I was miserable, but I didn't want to be down south. I didn't want to be, you know, quote unquote the Southern boy. Even though I do live by that. Such as occupation, career, I never pursued college the way that some kids pursue college, so I never had to make up a major of what I wanted to be. I never wanted to be, say, a doctor. I never looked at TV like that. Like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a sanitation worker. I think me growing up, I wanted to hold down a job no matter what it was, and provide for my family no matter what, it was. Later on in life, you have more options. You have more things that you can choose from. But for me, I just wanted to hold down a job.
Um, Growing up, did you have any favorite stories? Stories that inspired you or like you remembered?
Stories, stories that inspired me. Can't really say stories as in more of movies. Growing up, I used to watch um, Stand By Me with Edward James Elmos, and he used to he was a Spanish teacher raising, he went into the Spanish neighborhood and how would I say, took these kids that nobody said they was going to be anything and tell them that there's a whole big world ahead of them. You lose some along the way, but as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, you can make it out the quote unquote ghetto. Um, you can look at television shows and be like, there was never a big reading story. Like I said, I looked at every story that I ever put my eyes on and knew there was something more than where I was, and more than a 2-bedroom shack, more than a community-based project, housing authority, more than just say a single parent, more than just quote unquote, the alleys and you know um, the little stuff in life. I was inspired by everything that even if it was just for me picking up a magazine, I was inspired to see white people on there smiling. I was inspired to see black people on there smiling. Movies such as I forgot it was with Morgan Freeman.
Freeman?
Yeah. With him
Lean
being
on
Joe
Me?
Clark. Yeah. And him, going to the school and changing the lives of all these kids and remembering teachers, such as, Mr. Holly and Miss Derby coming in and changing my life and seeing something probably in me that nobody else saw in me. So, I take these, I always was brought up to take the things in life and not take it lightly and go for it. I have no real, everything inspired me. Music inspired me, like such as Prince or, Michael Jackson.
And can you count those as happy times as a child growing up?
Oh, definitely. Back then, all you had was music, even if it was, um, how would I say, music, and you had like 3 stations. You had And on television, you had CBS, NBC, ABC until cable came into play. Then you had a whole bunch of other cable channels. And going up, this was before remotes when you had to go up and press,
The dial
the,
on the TV.
no, this was like when we had the cable box.
Oh, wow.
And it used to be like 1 to 32. Then you had to switch the little thing to the second. Then that would give you 32 to 50. Then you had to switch it to the third. That would give you 50 all the way up to 80 something. These were different, cable channels and cable television and stuff like that. Then it came into play where we had the electrical boxes and stuff like that, where you can go up and you counting on the thing, one all the way up, and you had more television, you had more experiences. This was happy times. Saturday morning cartoons, waking up and eating cereal and looking at, different cartoons. Sunday morning, mom listening to radio and, everybody's, at the table for breakfast and coming home and, either stopping by KFC to get a bucket of chicken or mom already cooked for the night. Everybody's looking forward to when MTV came on and everybody say, oh, everybody's going to watch out for Michael Jackson's new video about to drop. These were happy times. These were great times. These were the things that made me who I am and look forward to, life is not always bad. And, you look forward to seeing, these are the things that make you who you are, where you can tell other people about, like, and say, oh, like, I remember this or I remember that, without trying to pound it in their head. Like, this is always happy. Your life is what you make it out to be. These were happy times for me. I loved it.
And since you said that, I believe you said not every time was bad, did you ever have a sad time in your life? Like, what were your saddest moments as a child or growing up?
Plenty of time. Being diagnosed with sickle cell anemia, not going to school every day. Most kids go to school 5 days a week. I went to school maybe 3 days a week. Spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Being diagnosed at the age of 5 and, living with that where, an immune deficiency, not to say it's HIV, but it's like it attacks your joints in your body and not, living a full childhood like you think you should.
Like an average child.
Yeah, like an average child. And that's for me, it's like, this was one of the things, but it did not hinder me. I mean, I didn't go to always school, like, and I'd say Mr. Holly, Miss Derby, these are teachers in my life that used to be my home school teachers as well.
These were elementary teachers?
Elementary,
or middle school?
Middle school and high school.
Okay.
Guidance counselor was Mr. Holly and Mr. Holiday. Oh yeah, Mr. Holly. I forgot that was the other teacher that inspired me a lot. He's the one, like, not having a father, used to take me fishing. That was one of the other things. Said not happy time. You look on television or you hear about people having two parents and going to maybe say father or son, how would I say, Boy Scout meetings and stuff like that, or Girl Scout meetings. Going away to dances, tying the first tie and things like that. That, was, not to say it was disappointing, not sad for me. Because disappointment lasts just a moment. Sadness lasts a lifetime. You always want to remember that. For me, growing up as well, losing everything at the age of, I think it was like 12 or 13 in a house fire. And then starting all over again. And this is, stuff that, you're used to. And these are the things that are character builders. That these are things that, if you allow it, it'll take take your spirit away. And your spirit and your character is what gets you through. Is your backbone to you. So for me, I mean, losing everything at a house fire and not having to go to the Goodwill. For me, a lot of people be like, oh, I was embarrassed by having food stamps. For me, we was on welfare. We had food stamps. We had government cheese, the big block cheese. We had jelly and peanut butter that came in the white cans rather than, you know, Peter Pan peanut butter. These are, childhood experiences. They weren't, like I say, sad. These were things that I never was placed in a situation to say, you're supposed to have better than this. These were the best times of my life.
Um, so as we come to the end of the first session, I just wanted to know, do you regret anything from your past, whether it's childhood, as far as back you can remember, or preteen, teen, early 20s, or if you could like reverse or in better terms change any incident that happened? For example, pursuing a relationship with your father. Do you regret living in the projects?
For me, wow. I
Do you,
mean, I'm not one of those guys that are be like, I regret anything in life. I think, you know, everything that happens in your life is a life lesson. You take it and you learn from it and you move on. It builds you. I never take anything like everything was always fun. Even the bad was fun. Going out with my friends, being, shot at, being, you know, going to parties when you weren't supposed to, kissing that girl on the porch that you weren't supposed to. These are things that happen in my life. These are, moments. And this is what you take. You never regret any moment in your life. It's life. It makes you who you are.
this is the second session with Andre McCray. I wanted to know if you had any additional experiences that came to mind between sessions.
No.
Okay, so we can now begin your life review. What was the most exciting part of your life?
The most exciting part of my life?
Meeting me? Thanks.
Silly. I don't know. I don't have a most exciting part. Like every part of my life, I've always meant, and very, nothing. For me, I never say, okay, this is the most exciting part. That's the less part. Everything that ever happens to me always got a meaningful part in my life. Like, it always means something. From, being born, graduating high school, leaving South Carolina to come up here, firstborn child, to even to the point of graduating from EMT school, stuff like that.
Um, you graduated from EMT school? Wow, I didn't know that. That's new. What was the most important historical event you witnessed or were a part of, or was a part of?
Historical event?
Yeah, Martin Luther King, the killing of Malcolm X,
I think.
killing of Troy Davis. Just kidding.
So silly. I guess the most historical thing in my time right now is, I guess the world, we call it the World Trade Center.
Center?
The Twin Towers, when the Twin Towers came down. That was the most important thing. Waking up on that day, turning on the TV, and seeing that, terrorists had attacked the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. That's the most historical thing to date that I can remember that had an impact on life.
What about the first black president? Even though he's, mixed.
No, like, that's important too. Like, don't get me wrong. I thought you
Okay.
said, what was the question again?
The most important historical event. The Twin Towers. They justify that question. Do you remember reading something, seeing a movie, or meeting someone who influenced your life dramatically?
Meeting someone. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Like, no real big. No, not you.
Wow.
Silly. No, I really can't say meeting somebody. that had an influential part in my life. I guess everybody I ever come across, I'm one of those people that, walking down the street and I can be influenced by a bum, an old lady, a young kid. It's about looking at life in different aspects. I never met an influential big person, say a superstar, a news reporter, or anything like that. I can't say even at this time that won't ever change, but no one ever like say sat down with me to say, oh, here you go, this is how you change your life. It always came from the influence of family, church, and books for me.
If you could relive any part of your life, what would it be?
Relive it.
Hmm.
I think high school days. I wouldn't say relive it. Some things I would go and yeah, relive it. I enjoyed every part of my high school days. I had fun, graduating, hanging out with friends, the best times of your life. Um, you know, you won't see, the same 300 people again. You won't see the same, friends again. Everybody goes different parts of the country. Some people pass away. Some people go, different parts of the world. You know, you learn how to grow up and stuff like that. But those are the best times in my life that I will relive and still won't change anything.
Are there any parts of your life that you regret?
Any parts of my life that I regret? Not like I said before. Is like the most when it came to like school. I guess it was. I don't know. I don't regret anything. You only you only got one life to live, so you live it to the fullest. Um, Even days of not paying attention, not I can't think of one single thing that I wouldn't that I don't regret. Life is what it gives you. You live from it, you learn from it, you move on. It builds your character of who you are.
I almost read this wrong. I read it as, are there any years you felt you were wasted? But it's really, are there any years you felt were wasted?
Any years that I felt was wasted. Maybe my sophomore year in high school. Should have paid attention more. Should have boosted up my GPA. Should have. I could have did more. I could have felt I could have got like a better job, or hanging out with better friends at that time. Later on in life, let me see. Years that were wasted. I would say between the age of maybe, let me see, 22, 23, um, where I didn't know what point of my life I wanted to go in. So I felt that was a waste, working, basically I could have did more, go to school faster, worked a better job, or, you know, build up funds in my bank account better.
Are you like the person you were 20 years ago? 10 years ago? Possibly? Maybe?
What?
Are you like the person you were 20 years ago or 10 years ago?
10 years ago, 23? No, because I'm more wiser. Um, in some aspect, I'm always the same person. I feel like I never change, but you always feel like you never change. There's always somebody else that's pointing out the change in yourself unless you make those drastic changes for yourself. Um, for me, I'm still the same. I laugh at any joke. Still want to better myself. I always want, a further education. I always want the best for family and friends. This is, my outlook on life had always been. Um, I've changed in saying that, moved on from, one apartment to the next apartment, got a better car than it was 10 years ago. I actually got a car when I didn't have a car 10 years ago. Um, I got more wiser. I didn't, for me, I always felt that, it's, you think more of yourself than you think of others. I think 10 years ago I would put others before myself, and 10 years later I have to learn how to put myself first, because only me can influence the others that I always put in front of me.
So this next question has a typo, and I'm gonna say it in the Jamaican accent because if you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
Tree wishes?
Yeah, it's a
Like
spelling
leaves?
typo. It's a spelling typo. It really says tree, and it makes me want to speak in patois. But if you have 3 wishes, what would they be?
Excuse me. Um, 3 wishes. I don't know. Healthier life.
Such as better diet, more exercise,
Um,
more risk taking.
I don't know. Like, I guess when it comes to healthier life, everything. Like, when it comes to your diet, eating habits, running, jogging, living out more, risk taking, like you said. Everything that's involved in living. 3 wishes if it comes to, I don't know, better. 3 wishes. That's hard. Um, everybody wishes for money. Like, I would I guess money as well. Infinite money, if it's like, nonstop, to live a life that is healthy. Um, and I guess the final thing is I don't know, like, I don't know, to go around the world.
Travel more.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking over your entire life, what was the darkest and what was the brightest?
Darkest,
Get deep.
I have no dark one. Let me see. The darkest point of my life.
Didn't you get shot?
Yeah, but that wasn't a dark point in my life. Like, it wasn't
I
like I was
mean,
losing my life. The dark point is, being out there and being stupid and handling drugs for friends, holding on to it, going out there and having illegal guns, driving out there illegally with no license. Um, but for me, I wouldn't really call it a dark point in my life. 'Cause like I said, every point was something given.
a learning
Yeah,
experience.
definitely. I don't know, maybe I'm the wrong person, but I don't look at it as a dark point in my life. Like, these are the things that I chose. I don't see it as a dark point. Like, I guess if I had got caught, went to jail, and been living on the street, that would have been a dark point in my life. But, I came out, on top of that. Bright point was, let's see, for me, my daughter being born, meeting her, living for her, um, everything that, comes along with, living.
So I'm assuming the brightest part was me in your life. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Is your life getting darker or brighter now?
Brighter. You, it's getting brighter. It's getting, how do I say? It's getting brighter. I live, every day like it ain't my last. Or, like it is my last, but it isn't my last at the same time. I look forward to bigger trips, better jobs, newer friends, better life. Um, I go by a motto: live, laugh, love to the fullest.
Who has been affected by your life?
Who has been affected?
Yeah,
Infected, affected.
affected. Did I say infected?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, I meant I meant affected. Sorry.
What do you mean? Like, I don't understand that question.
Like, have you caused any pain or harm to anyone? I'm taking it as that.
For me, I mean, I wouldn't know. Huh? For me, I guess everybody that I feel like you run across anybody in life, you affect them in some kind of way. Um, I guess hopefully I influence everybody that runs across me in my life. There's no pinpointing person that actually come to me and say, you encourage me. I mean, I had some people do it, but I think it was just to say it. But I try to affect everybody in a positive way and not in a negative. And then if I do affect them in a negative way, you know, they should be bold enough to come and say it. Like if someone, you say something wrong, you did something wrong, you may not know these things, but positive people that came across my life, um, I've always, you know, I always lived my life to my potential and not someone else's. So, if I affect their life in that way and it brings positivity to them, I always walk around with a smile because you never know who that can affect for that day. You smiling walking into a cafe or McDonald's may influence somebody, but not everybody approaches a stranger these days to say, "Oh, you most influenced person in my life." Other than right now, I guess like my nieces that are living their life.
What are some of the things you have learned about life?
Never take anything for granted. Um, you can have somebody close to you one day and next day they're gone. Whether that's somebody that you affectionately call your girlfriend, boyfriend, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father. Um, you never take these things for granted. You never get mad at them. Never hold a grudge. Like for me, I never hold a grudge. It is what it is. Any argument or person you can walk away from and hold your head up high, you can still walk back to them and say sorry and love you and still love them the same. And that's always been my life. I'd never, you know, always hold myself to a certain, responsibility of just living my life.
So, for the last question, I would like to know, would you want your son or daughter, well, your daughter obviously, um, or grandson or granddaughter, but you don't have grandkids, so your daughter, to live through your experiences?
Definitely. That's how you live. That's how you learn. Ain't kill me yet.
Oh,
So, I mean, like I said, you have to live through my experiences. You learn from it. I teach them. They'll teach someone else. One hand reaches to build up the other one, not to push them down. You help pull up the next person on the ladder. Um, you live and you grow. These are the things in life. You know, everybody got to walk. Like, how would I say it? By the way I live my life, I hope that they would walk in that, but at the same time, they got to make their own footprints in life. So they take from me, they make their own. As long as they walking side by side, we good to go. They'll always be good to go in their life. I feel like that way.
so to go along with the last question, what parts would you want her to avoid?
Let me see. For I guess being out there being stupid for me, like I said, being out there with the wrong friends, the wrong crowd in high school. But everybody gotta learn their life. I mean, not learn their life, live their life. Hopefully they learn early before it's too late. Hopefully she'll learn early before it's too late. That's any child, any influence, anybody in my life that what, and anybody in my life that I come up, that she come apart. Like I don't know, that'd be it's a hard question.
Hmm. Um,
That's a very hard question.
well, that is the end of all of our sessions. I would like to thank you for participating in my psychology project. I learned a whole lot about your life and your upbringing. Um, and now to explain why I focused on the candle holder, I'm assuming, is because he wanted me to hide his identity. And I don't know. I was trying to be artistic. But yeah, there's no artistic, mood here since it's not lit. So thank you for listening.